So it is the 24th of December, Christmas Eve, and I've woken up this morning and realised that I don't actually have a plan for today. So I thought, why not take the opportunity to sew a whole dress in one day, start to finish. The fabric I'm using is this gorgeous gingham linen that I got on a recent trip to Japan for my honeymoon, which was just such a dream come true. While we were there, we visited the famous Napori fabric town, which is in Tokyo. And for those who haven't been, it's essentially just this town or neighborhood within Tokyo that's completely dedicated to selling fabric. Fabric store there is called Tomato Fabrics, and I didn't realize that at first, but they essentially have like 5 or 6 stores along this one street. But it's just the most amazing fabric, such good quality. So yes, I've got this lovely gingham linen, and I'm going to make the Laura dress by Genow Patterns. Genow Patterns. I'm never quite sure if I'm saying that right. I haven't made this dress before, so I need to go purchase the PDF pattern. But first things first, this fabric needs to go through the washing machine to make sure that it doesn't shrink once I make the actual garment. Those who have experienced that pain once never make the mistake of not washing their fabric again. This is the pattern. Yeah, it's just a really nice bias cut V-neck dress. And what I like about this, and girls with bigger busts will know, I can see that the pattern maker has a slightly bigger bust, as do I. So that just gives me a bit more confidence that this dress will actually fit nicely once I finish making it. Alright, so I just realised that all the pattern sizes are separated by size rather than being on one, sort of laid on top of each other on one PDF. I guess the 3 most common measurements are your bust, waist and hip. And then you need to look at your pattern and decide which of those measurements needs to be the most accurate for your pattern given how the pattern will fit. For the dress we're making today, the bust for me is going to be the most important, and it sort of just depends if you tend to be a size bigger in your bust or in your hips or whatever. You sort of want to go with whatever your largest measurement is. I know my bust will usually be a whole standard size bigger than my waist and hips, and so yeah, I'm going to make sure that the bust fits the pattern the best, and then I can always make adjustments to the waist and the hips once I start making the garment to make it a bit more fitted if I like. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you're able to see this, but we've got our bust, waist and hip measurements here, and then centimetres across the top here for each measurement. So looking at this, I can see that I'm sort of in between a large, so the bust, 96, that's approximately correct for me. And then my waist was 74, which is sort of in between the medium and the large, and my hips were 98, which is the medium. So I'll make the large, and then I might just make some minor adjustments to make it a bit more fitted on my waist and hips. It is the most beautiful day today, just on my way to Officeworks. I would have driven, except that 1, it's good to get your steps in, and 2, I don't know if anyone else finds this, but people are just crazy around this time of year on the roads, and where this Officeworks is, there's not a huge amount of parking, and I just can't be bothered to fight someone for a car park, so here we are, walking. I also ended up getting a couple bunches of flowers on the way home. We're going to my husband's auntie and uncle's place for Christmas tomorrow, so I just wanted to make them a little bunch of flowers to say thank you. I got this vase a couple of days ago from the op shop, so I'll pop them in there and hopefully that will be a nice little hosting gift. A way to test if your pattern has been printed to the right scaling or whatnot is to find the little test square on the pattern, and essentially it will have a certain amount marked and you just need to grab your measuring tape and check if it aligns with what's there. Always a bit of a nerve-wracking moment, but mine's looking pretty spot on. So that means that the pattern should have been printed to the correct dimensions and we shouldn't have any issues when it comes to construction. Alright, so finally it is cutting time. Now usually when you would cut out patterns, or in most circumstances, you would fold the fabric over and line up the selvage edge, which is just this edge here that's sort of the finished edge of the fabric. But today we're cutting the dress on the bias, which means we're cutting the dress on a 45-degree angle, which is just a style of cutting that allows the fabric to, I guess, drape over the body a bit in a nicer way. And yeah, you'll see a lot of like silk skirts and stuff cut in this way. So that is what we're going to do, but you do need to be careful that you are indeed cutting on a 45-degree angle, otherwise your whole dress could end up looking a bit strange. Luckily for us, we are cutting on a grid pattern because we've got gingham fabric, so that's going to make it so much easier to find that 45-degree angle. But if you don't have that, one thing you can do is fold your fabric in half diagonally and find that 45-degree angle. I also find it really handy to have a set square on hand, one of those right angle rulers, because my brain doesn't work in a particularly mathematical way, so sometimes I literally will just whip out that and make sure that my lines are flush with the diagonal line on the ruler. But let's get started. So I thought I was filming, but apparently I wasn't. Totally fine. But all I've done so far is cut out the back panel of the skirt, plus the bias tape for the armholes and the neckline. But before I continue cutting out, I did just want to show you, where is an example? These little marks here are called notches. And so I'm just going to do a tiny snip everywhere I see one of those little notches, and that just helps you when you're putting together your garment later. We now have all our pattern pieces cut out, and so it is time to start sewing. I am a classic for never getting the matching threads for my fabric. I mean, this whole thing was very spontaneous, but I think I'm just gonna have to roll with white thread for now. And I'm just gonna get my instructions up that came from the pattern on my laptop and sew along. I'm pretty sure Julia, the pattern maker, actually has a YouTube video as well that details step by step how to make the dress. But yeah, unless I get stuck, I think I'll just follow along with the written instructions. And I'm hoping that this dress won't be too, won't take too long to construct, given it doesn't have any, it doesn't have like a zip or buttons, or it's actually a great dress to do spontaneously because you don't have to go get any notions like, yeah, zips or buttons or elastic or whatnot. It's literally just the dress and you make a couple of straps and it is done. So let's get sewing. I'm just adding some interfacing to the neckline edge of the front and back bodice. So this is the back. I'll just add it along there, which once again can feel like a really tedious step. If it didn't have it in the instructions, I probably wouldn't have bothered with this, but it does actually just make your garment look that much more professional and you know, more last longer in the long run. And yeah, it's really just such a small thing that you may as well do to make a bit of a difference. You can get interfacing tape. For some reason, whenever I go to like Spotlight or anywhere like that, I can never find it. So I usually just like cut little bits off a bigger sheet of interfacing. And the thing with interfacing is it doesn't need to be super exact or anything. So I sort of just roughly do it. And then you just lie it against the edge like that. Grab your iron, make sure it's on a cool setting, and we're just going to press it on like this. Just leave for a couple seconds in each section, and you might need to go back and forth a few times to make sure that the glue side is properly fused onto the fabric. But yeah, it's just a little extra step, feels annoying, but does make a difference, and really, in reality, it's pretty low effort. So, highly recommend. I'm now just going to attach the front and back bodices at the shoulder seams. Adding the bias tape, not the bias tape, the interfacing tape actually is really helpful when you don't really have a right and wrong side of your fabric, because now I know the side with the tape on it is the wrong side. So I'm literally just going to use these handy little clips. I mean, this is old news, but if you're not onto these clips, you should get on them. They're so much easier than messing around with pins for things like this. I love these. So I'm going to clip up here and then head to the sewing machine and finally start sewing. I haven't filmed in a hot minute just because my phone ran out of battery, but the bodice pieces, I believe, are now complete. They've got really pretty bias binding edges, all looking very professional, but I absolutely take back what I said that this dress would be super quick to whip up. That alone, I think, has taken me a couple of hours. So anyway, hopefully it speeds up a little bit between now and then, but you know, enjoy the process. Starting to wane now, but we're getting there. So I'm just in the process of turning these straps that will tie up at the back inside out, and I am absolutely kicking myself for not having one of those what do you call them, those little needle things that essentially help you turn really skinny straps inside out. I'm currently using a safety pin. I had to get my husband to help me with the other one. But yes, this is just a challenging and annoying process, but hopefully it will be worth it in the end. But once again, I'm not doing anything fast today. Hopefully I can still get this dress done. I've sort of given myself 1 more hour, and then I've basically eaten nothing today, and it's still so beautiful outside, so I want to go enjoy the evening. All right, it is now 5:15 on Christmas Eve. I think I'm making the executive decision to not finish this dress today because I can feel myself getting frustrated, and that's when mistakes happen. Trust me, I know from experience. So that's all right. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine, and I will finish it hopefully on Boxing Day. Hello, it is a couple days after Christmas now. I am determined to get this dress done before the end of the year. It is an absolute stinker today. I think it's about 35 degrees or something. I've got my kombucha fans pumping, but if you live in an apartment in Sydney, you will know that they just get so hot. I'm going to get stuck back into making this dress. I sort of reached a point of frustration last time I was working on it, so it's good to approach it with a fresh mind, and I reckon we might be able to knock it over within a couple of hours. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm finally going to be pinning the front of the skirt to the back of the skirt, and we will start to have something that actually resembles a dress, which is great progress. But I just thought, in the meantime, now that I've taken all the pins out of our pattern pieces and yeah, they're all in use now, I'll just show you how I store my paper patterns, which, look, isn't anything super inventive or anything, but it has personally changed my life in terms of being able to find what I need to find and actually using the patterns that I have more, because it's not a huge bother to dig them out of a box and they're all crinkled and whatnot. So what I actually do is use one of these like pants skirt hangers and just hang them up on I've got a little clothes rack, and just keep them all together like that. So for really big pieces like this, I might fold it a couple times, but for the rest of them, for ones like this and whatnot, I just sort of clip them all together, and I will show you what that looks like when it's done. So here it is, all nicely folded up. I always do it so I can clearly see what pattern it is when I hang it up, but that's all ready to go for next time, and it stays nice and neat and organized and doesn't get damaged. It's just the best. All right, now that I've sewn both the side seams and I've got the front and the back of the skirt attached to one another, I just need to zigzag the side seams to make sure it doesn't fray. I actually got an overlocker for Christmas from my husband and my brothers, which I'm super excited to use, but overlockers are notoriously tricky to set up, so I thought I'm just going to get this project done before I move on to setting up the overlocker. But that's going to be so much fun to use going forward, and yeah, just give all my projects a much more professional finish. Guess what? We have a dress. I haven't tried it on yet. I'm a bit nervous. We've still got a couple of finishing touches to make, but I might go try it on off camera, so if it doesn't look good I can have an emotional breakdown then and not on the internet. But I'm like, it looks good, so fingers crossed it fits okay as well.